But I think that most people's situation could be cleared up very simply. You want to know what the answer is? Go make more money. Most people think it's too challenging to do that.
All right, I'm so excited today. Like, oh my God, this guy, Joey Martin, he is a rock star. I love this guy. I love his friendship. Honestly, it is my honor, privilege to get your time today to talk about a little bit about finance for couples. Those are the main topics we want to cover today. But before we dive into that, I really want to give a proper introduction of this great friend of mine. Actually, 2020, everything, went from office, brick and mortar to online. And then we, and out of nowhere, we became very good friends online. And this gentleman, has a baby of two beautiful princesses. And the fact that, we just connected right away and we, share ideas and all that stuff. And then right away that evening, the first time we talk, you say, you're in Boston, right? I mean, whenever you come to New York, you have my couch. Or now, because of the fact that I upgraded myself, I get the whole basement now, which is a great thing. So
I was initially thinking about like a little corner, but now you could have the whole basement, Ricky. It's all good.
Yeah, just because, we really built this strong connection. Like, we met like a couple weeks ago at a huge company event. And then, we are all, social distance safe and with mask on and everything. But, this guy is like one of the nicest men you can meet from New York, honestly. Like, it's hard to say that about people in New York, but this guy is awesome. Is hailing from Long Island, New York, the MVP of the New York State, my good friend Joey Martin. Yeah! All right, so now finally get into our main topic. I think this is awesome. Honestly, this was like already.
You're asking great questions, Ricky. Seriously, really good questions.
Honestly, like I think it is so good. You are like bringing it so well that even like this first half, we can just use it as a way to show people. It's like, just watch this and then bam, you sign up. Anyway, the main topic we actually really want to talk about is a little technical or a little like, psychological, but it's very, very important. And you mentioned it a little bit about finances. And, you and I are basically not newlyweds, but like recently wed, I would say. I got married in 2017, by the way, in your city.
What month?
July.
Oh, we were April 2017.
Oh wow! And then you got into a fast start, and then your baby is born in 2018, right? No, I actually waited a year. We did a honey year, not a honeymoon, but a honey year per se. So that first kid was born in 2019. So July of 2017. Yes, definitely. Since this is going on YouTube, we cannot mess up the dates, and then 10 years later they watch it and like.
It's tattooed on me, Ricky. I'll never forget it.
Oh, I won't forget mine either. But anyway, so you want to talk about, or I want to ask you about finances for couples, right? I mean, recently you sat down with, husband and wife as a family, and then they want to keep money separate. And when I saw that headline, I'm like, ooh, this is kind of weird. What does it say to you? What does it mean, actually?
I want to reverse on this for a minute and why this has become part of my passion in helping people. I grew up in a home where my father was an immigrant from Portugal, and my mother grew up in Brooklyn. She was born and raised in Brooklyn, and then she moved out to Long Island. And I remember growing up, and it was like, I remember so many great things, but I remember everything sometimes a lot of the bad. And it was always so much bickering in the house. And I really never shared this story before, but I'll never forget. My sister and I were young. I was probably 10. My sister was 13. And my dad worked for the Long Island Railroad. So he was an electrician. He was like a union guy, right?
Okay.
So he worked a lot of overtime, was hustling hard for our family. So he can't take that away from him. He worked really, really hard for our family. But my dad also liked to drink. And oftentimes he'd come home, and sometimes he wouldn't come home on time. My mom wouldn't have no idea where he is. Cell phones weren't a thing back then. He'd walk in the door stumbling. And I'll never forget the one time my mom ordered pizza. It was a Friday night. My mom ordered pizza, and it was white pizza. So it's only like, I'm going to really throw some people for a loop. It was ricotta. Some people say ricotta. Gosh, please get it right, everybody. Ricotta. Right? Or some Long Islanders say rogot. That's not how you say it. All right, anyway. So it was white pizza on the table, and my mom had left some for my dad when he got home, not knowing when he was going to come home. And my dad walks in wasted, and he's slurring and giggling, and he takes pizza and he eats it and he like spits it. I'll never forget it. It's crazy. I've never shared this story before. And my mom and dad started getting into it. They started fighting. My dad ripped the phone off the wall. Like, it was bad. My sister and I went hiding in the room. We didn't know if we should call the police or not.
Yeah.
And what I result that to, and why my dad's actions had gotten to that point, was because there was so many prior issues about money in the home. There was so many arguments, so many fights, my mom was the saver, my dad was the spender. And there was so much tension when it came to money. And it aggravates me because even now to this day, like, people are still not aware of this. Like, is there not enough information out there to learn how to like get this stuff together? If you're not smart enough to sit with an advisor or somebody from the industry that you trust, like, can't you just Google something? Find something. And I took that experience growing up, and God rest my father's soul, although that paints a bad picture of him. My father was one of the most phenomenal men in the world. I promise you that. I vowed to never allow my life to be like that. And the reason why I was single when I got here into this company was because I was still a boy. I had not matured enough yet. I never found true mentorship. And then I found Brian, and he helped me grow up and takes relationships serious. But when I got into my relationship, when I first started dating my wife, I was broke as a joke. And I had one of two choices. Either I could keep it all internal because I wanted to hide my ego, because that's really what it was. Or I could just let it out and say, hey, listen, I'm building a business right now. I may not have all the money in the world, but I will. And I chose that. I chose the opportunity to be honest with my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife. And I vowed to never have any secrecy behind money, to have 100% transparency about money. Because you know what? If you do the research, money is the second most major cause of divorce, right behind infidelity. So I got married because I wanted to be with my wife for the rest of my life, and I promised myself and her that I would never step out on her and see another woman. But I married my wife because I want to marry her for the rest of my life, because she's my best friend and my love. And by choosing to be transparent about money, I know I'll never have that problem.
Right. I mean, you basically gave her out, right? I mean, you know, like when you were really first dating, right? I mean, like some people really get intimidated. It's like, dude, like, honestly, like, you know, it's like, you know, I don't need this type of thing. But then when she is the one, and she's willing to look past that, and the fact that, hey, you know, whatever you need to do, I know that I can trust you. You'll stay with me and all that stuff, and stay loyal to me. You know, I will support you and support you forever. This is the wife, or this is the family, the foundation you are building on. And you know, this is great. I mean, you know, we just learned that you got married 3 months before me, so you know,
my wife used to say to me, Ricky, she used to say, it's okay, honey, I'll be your sugar mama for now, because I know one day you'll take care of me. And I was like, that's all I needed to know, that I had her support. You know, I didn't want her to be my sugar mama because I'm a man and I wanted to provide, but I understand that she understood that it was a building process, and no coincidence, she comes from a family of entrepreneurs.
Very good.
Yeah.
No, I mean, this is a great story, and but okay, let's talk about that interview that you just had recently with that couple that, you know, they want to talk money separate.
So, you know, I think the biggest challenge for us as financial professionals going out there trying to educate is you could either be right or you could be successful, which ultimately means you can't always try to be right. You just have to be successful. And this couple, they're both on their second marriage, by the way. I wonder why their first didn't make it. And we were going through the education about who we are and what we do, and running through some very basic financial concepts that we like to teach people that I just believe in, that are truly important. And I started asking a set of questions because I could tell like there was a little bit of tension about the topic, kind of like she dragged him to get into the Zoom and carry on the conversation.
I see. Okay.
And then I started asking the questions. I said, well, do you guys do any of your money together, or do you do everything totally separate? And then you saw they were like, separate. And then you saw him kind of go like this, like separate, like kind of like lean back, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
And then they laughed, because that was a mechanism to diffuse the circumstance, was to laugh.
Sure.
And you know, it's so interesting. We wound up setting another appointment to get together because he had an old 401k that needed to be moved because he was losing money through fees. She needed life insurance and wanted it. And we set a follow-up appointment with them, and they never kept their commitment. They didn't keep their commitment because they were afraid to talk about money together, because they both have skeletons in the closet that they didn't want to come out.
Oh, so basically it's not a money issue anymore. It's actually I think it sounds like a bigger issue, right? It's, rather, we talked about whether it's a trust thing, or, basically being open and honest and, all that, or upfront about, money. Like, that's what we always say, right? Money is like, it's a symptom, right? It's like, it doesn't make you good, better, or worse person. It just magnifies rather you are.
There you go.
Right.
Exactly.
So yeah, no, I mean, that's like, so what do you suggest couples do? Like, honestly.
All right. We could probably talk about this for a long time, Rick.
Good.
First things first. Well, here's a question. Is it couples that are married or couples that are getting into marriage? Because if you're already in marriage and you have all of these secrets already, well, we got to do a lot of reversing of a lot of the bad habits and crap that you have going on. And we need to have like a come to Jesus moment about your money. And quite honestly, I'm sure you would agree with me. Sometimes, well, I would say all of the time, it's better when you have a moderator there to help kind of shed the layers and have that conversation. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, all the audience should agree, someone peeling the onions for you guys is easier than yourself, yeah?
Doing it yourself. You cry more when you do it yourself. So if we were to start before someone's married with the intention of maybe getting married, just have transparency. It's that simple. What kind of debt do you have? What do you have in savings? How much you earn typically on a monthly basis? Like, those very simple things will share and tell the story in and of itself. Do you have anything toward retirement? Does your work offer you a 401k? Do you have any permanent insurance that you can get tax-free money out of? These things are really just the simple pillars when you're trying to see if someone has any sort of financial, litmus test, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
Right. But when you are married, I think it's really simple. I think that you and your spouse should get together, maybe like make a date of it. And if you have kids, put them aside, or get a sitter, go to a restaurant or something, or go to a coffee shop and get a piece of paper and pen and let your mind wander and talk about some of your financial goals and things that you want to be able to obtain, or whether it's short-term or long-term. Do you want to redo the bathroom in the house? Do you want to take the kids to Disney? Do you want to go on a road trip? Do you want to go on a staycation for a weekend? Do you want to reach a certain goal for savings and have fun with it? I think these are some of the very simple things. And I don't know, Rick, it's not like rocket science. It's everybody has their own way of doing it. I would imagine you and your wife have a little bit of a different twist or take on how you guys run your financial household rather than how I run my financial household. But I would bet there's one thing that we have in common: transparency. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Transparency. We get paid 2 times every single week, or otherwise known as 8 times or 9 times every single month. Every time I get a cycle, boom, honey, we just made 2 G's today. Honey, last cycle was $300. Honey, this cycle was $4,500. Hey, honey, we had a good one today. It was $9,000. Hey, honey, we had a $76 cycle today. I tell her about all of the cycles that I have, because our intention is for my wife to stop working completely, for her to be retired and care for our family. That's our choice. That's what she wants.
Yeah.
So slowly but surely, I take anything that she has as far as expenses off of her plate, and now they're on my plate, because we're a partnership. It's her work in the home that allows me to do my work in business, which will provide full circle a great financial free life.
Right. And one other thing that we definitely have in common, other than transparency and common goal, it's a family goal, is the fact that we are beginning to actually run our household finances like a business, basically, right? You know, whatever income, every 2-3 days we get income, you know, is in there. We have transparent, that's our revenue income, and then like all the expenses we get out. So whatever, you know, and then of course we have good saving goals and everything, you know, we save first, and then, you know, whatever's left over, that's our profit. First, where do we go and all that stuff. So I think that's a great way to look at your money and to be very cognizant about where you're at, instead of like everyone just scrambling at year end or like April 15th. It's like, oh, it's tax file day. This is how much I actually earn and all that kind of stuff. It's just crazy in my mind, because if you know, I have many years of corporate background, right? And you know, any real or any not real, even fake corporations or companies, businesses, they close their books every month.
Yeah.
What we call book close, right? I mean, they do their finances. And if you people like work so hard for the businesses to help them close their book or books and help them so much with their planning for the next year, why don't you do it for yourself?
Oh my gosh.
That's why I say that all the time. Nobody else does it, by the way. I do it, I you know, stick it on a wall, I do it every year. But nobody else does it. And it's just like, it's so bizarre, because, you know, all companies, all businesses do that because it's the right thing for them to do. And why don't you do that the same thing? Same thing with finances, right?
Yeah, it's I mean, a simple phrase that I learned when I first got into business that I never heard before, which should be taught in school, is pay yourself first. Like, huh? Because you said that. You like take money, save it, and then, because what most people do, let's say there's 2 employees. I live in a town where it's very blue collar, lots of firemen, lots of cops, lots of teachers, nurses. So typically in many homes, it's two incomes, probably anywhere from like 80 grand and 80 grand, 50 grand, 50 grand, something like that, give or take. But what most people do is they're fiending for the next check to come in. So when that check finally comes in every week or 2 weeks, you're like, then they could breathe, pay their bills, because it's the bills that are on their back, whether it's the utility bills, the credit cards, the mortgage, the kids' dancing school, the swimming, the extracurricular, the groceries. They pay for all that. Then they may have a little bit of money left over in their checking account. Then when they see that number, they're like, all right, it feels like a little bit of a cushion. I don't want to save it. You know, honey, let's go to dinner. Honey, you want to go to dinner tonight? We deserve it. Sucker, no, you don't deserve it. That's why people don't save money, because they want that little fuzzy teddy bear that the money's still left in the checking account. God forbid. Yet they're missing the whole thing, the psychology behind money. Pay yourself first, pretend it's not there, and then you use whatever's left. Yeah. It's, man.
No, you're so passionate about this, which is great. And that's why you're so successful. That's one thing. The other thing, about to add on that shoulder thing, you talk about the utility bills, dancing lesson, all that kind of stuff. What if there's an unexpected event?
A pandemic, you mean?
It hits neighbor's car and the insurance company deductible, like not saying your insurance does not pay, but let's say you have a high deductible and you have to come up with like 5 grand, 10 grand out of nowhere.
Yep. That
is a huge like thing on your shoulder. No dinner for you for like, you know, the rest of the month type of thing, right?
Yeah. You know what's so crazy though? Why I get so excited about this is because I was that guy. I was the guy who had a big old goose egg and I had zero savings. I had $12,000 of credit card debt when I first got here. I was almost negative in my checking account when I first got here. So I had nothing. And again, it comes back to something really simple, Rick. People's cynicism and skepticism will keep them broke forever. They don't open their eyes, their ears, their heart to learning a better way of doing it rather than thinking what they're doing is working. That's like madness. What do they call that? The definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Right, definitely.
That's why I get excited about it. Oh, excuse my excitement because I'm just fired up.
No. This is like oozing out of the screen. It feels like, you're shaking. Like across YouTube. It's like, But this is great. This is awesome. So I really 10 questions for you. Not for you, but like for new couple. It's just something that I found online. Evaluate whether these questions are good to ask themselves or not. Like this imagine you guys, husband and wife, got kids at home, right? Or babysat, bring out that piece of paper. These are the 10 questions to ask. Okay. What does having money mean to you? Is that a good question or a bad question?
Good, really good, because it allows your mind to wander a bit, and for them to really build a relationship with money. I think that's really what it comes down to.
What does it mean to be good with money?
Frugality. You have to have some level of frugality in your life rather than chasing fads and trends.
Okay. Did your family talk about money growing up?
No, I'm not supposed to answer this, right? I'm supposed to
evaluate
relevant or not.
Yeah.
Super relevant. Because if their family talked about money growing up, then maybe they'll talk about money in their household. If their family didn't talk about money growing up, they thought it was cliche, then chances are they're going to have problems with money in their marriage.
But they should be talking about money growing up.
1,000%.
Right. How would you rate how we spend money?
Of course, there's relevance to it. I think a very simple principle is that if you have a desire to buy something like a tangible item, a material item, if it's a high ticket item especially, wait 30 days. If you still want it, then buy it. If you could afford it, of course. But wait 30 days. If you don't want it in 30 days, then it was a good deal. It was a good thing that you waited and you didn't buy it.
I actually did that at my first job, basically. If I spend $100 without telling you, would you be upset with me? $1,000.
Oh, did you just bump it up to 1,000?
Yeah. So it's a part A, part B type of question. So I would assume most people would be, okay, you spend $100 of your own money, I don't care. But what about 1,000? Would that change the narrative?
Need to communicate. Need to.
Okay. What keeps you up at night about our finances?
Very relevant, because maybe that'll tell if somebody's hiding something.
Okay. What will we do when we disagree about money and can't see eye to eye?
Relevant. Agree to disagree. I'm kidding. That's not the answer. Well, that's an open-ended question, right? Because we're all human beings. We're never going to think exactly the same. My wife and I don't rarely argue. But if we were to communicate a little bit more assertively, I know she means business. So as a husband, I've learned that if she really means business, I should probably just chill out and allow her to really win that part of the conversation.
Right. For me, I feel like this question is not just about money, honestly. If we disagree on something, on how we feed the kids, like this and other top, like basically to be open and talk about this, right?
Yep.
Yes. What would we do if one of us were laid off?
Have to talk about that. Have to.
And nobody does, actually, which is so weird.
I really don't think. I think the assumption is for the couples that actually do have the ability to save money and they have the decent habits of saving, I think they inherently know that's kind of what they're saving toward. if tuition comes up for this thing for your kid, or this comes up. And I think it kind of goes without saying that people are saving for that rainy day emergency fund in a bank, liquid, accessible, is for circumstances like that.
Great. How has the pandemic changed how you think about your finances or our finances?
I don't know that that's necessarily insanely relevant.
Okay. Do you feel we are on track financially to achieve our goals?
Very important.
Very important. All right. I think this one should bump up all the way to the top, right?
Right. Yeah.
Should be the first one, right?
Yeah.
And I got a bonus question. What is one money habit you admire about me? Not you and me, but I mean husband talking to the wife or the wife talking to the husband, right?
Yeah, and because I think that goes to a broader topic of almost like a love language. And because I think everybody likes a little bit of recognition for certain things. I love recognition. I think we all do in some shape or form. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, because I'm thinking if my wife said to me, hey, honey, I really love that, you've learned to become more frugal and save our money. But every once in a while, when you go to the store, you'll think about our kids and you'll buy them just a little something that's really cheap for them. I would love if my wife said that to me. She doesn't necessarily say that, but I did just buy my daughter some like $1 little mittens at the 99-cent store.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah,
no, I mean, those are great answers on relevancy of these questions. I mean, go ahead. I will put those questions in the comments below. So if, new couples, old couples, whatever couples going to be married, everyone, go ahead and be honest, open, transparent, talk to each other about money. And, it's not, even though we talk about money, like all the time, as I mentioned before, it's not just about money. It's really just about relationship, right?
Yep. I want to sum everything that maybe I said today up with maybe one thing, Rick, and maybe this would be a good way to end the conversation.
Great.
Money's not everything. I mean, it ranks up there with oxygen, right? We need it. Sometimes the more of it we have, we may breathe a little bit better. And like you said earlier, money is a magnifying glass. If you have garbage habits as somebody who does not necessarily have money, and you all of a sudden you come into money and you have bad habits, you're going to do bad things with the money or blow it. But I think that most people's situation could be cleared up very simply. You want to know what the answer is? Go make more money. Most people think it's too challenging to do that, or they think everything is a scam. And again, the most cynical and skeptical people will stay broke forever and always have those money problems and point at the people who do have money and say, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad. It's the people who don't have money who point at the people who do have money and say, they're bad. That's bull. Excuse my language. I was almost about to curse. But it's the only people who have money problems are the people who don't have enough money. People who do have money, at least the ones that I know, do phenomenal things with them.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
That's what I want to say. Yeah.
Look at Jeff Levitan. He's created an organization that's building child prosperity centers all across the world. That's a great picture right there. I love that.
Thank you.
It's the people that I know who have money, they're not flaunting it. They're not doing any of that. They're doing the proper things with it. They're saving a whole bunch of it to build a family legacy. They're giving it back to causes that they believe in or their church. Yeah, sure, maybe they drive nice cars. But damn it, how dare you condemn them because they work their ass off and work way harder than most people out there. And people have that mentality. They have the lottery mentality, like, oh, they must have done something wrong, illegal, inherited it. That's more garbage. The statistics don't show that at all.
Right.
Don't show that at all.
Right. No, honestly, that is a great closing message. I'm going to add my 2 cents to it, but basically, it's just, that light bulb moment when we, really change our lives into like accepting this, be open to it, be willing to work for ourselves as entrepreneurs, and the fact that basically in this business or maybe even any other businesses out there, we need to meet with business owners nowadays, is they make a lot of money, and rarely we see evil people like from them, right? So
true.
you know, those are all Hollywood anyway.
All the movies, yep.
But anyway, no, that was a great closing message. I really appreciate your time. You know, like honestly, this is going so well. If we hit 10,000 views, you are definitely coming back.
Thank you, Rick.
1,000 views, you are
great.
coming back.
This was great. You know, I think a great interview, and it's humbling for you to ask and us communicate about an interview. It's humbling for me, but it was even that much better because of your preparedness. And you know what? What I've learned about some of the most successful people I've ever met is their level of preparedness supersedes everybody else's. So that just says a lot about you. I appreciate you, brother.
Fist bump. Yeah. All right, guys, that was a fantastic interview, wasn't it? If you haven't watched the first half yet, make sure you watch it here. All right, and make sure let's partner up, let's connect, and let's build your fantastic retirement and family legacy together.